Hi, welcome back to the Liferay Backend Developer course. Today we're going to be on Chapter 8. This is going to be customizing the user interface. So today's chapter objectives are going to be understanding the fundamentals of Liferay user interface architecture and learning how to approach user interface customization. We're going to start with customizing the user interface. Some of the subtopics that we'll be talking about are a user interface technologies overview, changing the default application UI with widget templates, and customizing the application JSPs. So we have three Liferay user interface types. The first one is going to be what most of our users are going to be seeing, which is the portal web user interface. That's what they're going to be seeing on their internet browsers like Google Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer. The second one is our native mobile applications. These are applications that we build out natively through iOS or with Java on Android. And the third type are going to be native desktop clients. So these are going to be applications like Liferay Sync or maybe an application that you guys are building out. The web user interface for Liferay is built mainly on JSP technology. We interact with Liferay tooling like Liferay Lexicon and Clay that we've built in-house. We also integrate with a handful of JavaScript frameworks that include things like Liferay's Alloy UI, Metal.js, and also jQuery. Other than that, we integrate with extensive tag libraries that you can use as well. Just an overview of Liferay Lexicon and Clay. Liferay Lexicon is a set of principles, patterns, and tools that we've created in-house to provide a common design framework for Liferay developers. And it provides an abstract user interface design language. So here's an example of what Liferay Lexicon actually looks like. Just an example of kind of the styling and what kind of forms that you can use when creating it. If you're familiar with like Bootstrap or material design, Liferay Lexicon is a lot like that. Clay is what we'll use to actually implement the Liferay Lexicon experience design language. So you'll be developing in Clay. We use Clay to ensure there's a consistent style and user experience, and it's built with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Clay is actually an extension of the Twitter Bootstrap library, so if you're familiar with that, you can use a lot of the documentation provided there. Here's an example of the Clay dropdown. You can take a look at the HTML, and you can see here that we have this dropdown item parameter. We can use Clay to create these Liferay HTML dropdown options. For more information, please check out lexicondesign.io for more information on Lexicon, and clayui.com for the Clay project. Next up, we have Alloy UI. Alloy UI is a UI framework built on top of Yahoo YUI 3. It also incorporates HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It's active, you can still use it, but we actually haven't developed upon it since Liferay 7.0. We've actually deprecated it in Liferay 7.1 and forward. That being said, it's still the main JavaScript framework in use in Liferay, and we are supporting it throughout the Liferay 7.x product lifecycle. Here's an example of Alloy UI doing a dropdown as well. Here we have our classic HTML, and here we specified it as an AUI dropdown. This is just an example of the result that we can get pretty easily in just a few lines. For more information on the Alloy project, please take a look at alloyui.com. Metal.js is also something that was built in-house on Liferay. It's a lightweight JavaScript framework. We started developing it after 2014. It integrates well with Google Closures, which is Soy, and Facebook JSX templating languages. It supports ECMA Script 2015 and 6, also isomorphic server-side rendering, which is SSR support. Here's an example of some code for Metal.js and Soy. So here we have a view.soy file. It's similar to a CSS file, and we have the actual Metal.js code here. As you can see, it looks pretty similar to JavaScript. Here we have the view.js file. And as you can see here, similar to regular JS, we can import a lot of the soy files, similar to the way that we import those CSS files. So here we're importing footer from footer.soy. For more information about Metal.js, check out these links below. Okay, so continuing with the JavaScript framework summary, important keynotes to take away are that The legacy Portal UI still relies heavily on Alloy UI. Metal.js was introduced in Liferay 7.0 and 7.1 in its new applications. And Liferay remains framework agnostic so that developers can use their own preferred libraries. For more information, check out the Liferay Developer Network at the link below. Moving on to tag libraries. So tag libraries. Liferay offers a set of fully integrated tag libs, common implementations for UI components and utilities, and provides a responsive and consistent UI. Here we have a short little diagram of how our front end kind of runs. At the very top level, we have our themes. Themes are what we use to customize all of the UI that your audience is going to see. We have your typical CSS overrides. That's where you're going to do a lot of the styling for sites, pages, portlets, and inline coding. Also widget JSP overrides for overriding any functional styling that you need to do there. We have API-based customizations, some legacy methods that are left over that were deprecated, and any templating that you need to do for your widgets. So going over some of the summary answers, Liferay Lexicon is the UI design language, while Clay is its implementation. The Liferay web user interface still largely relies on Alloy UI. Metal.js was introduced in Liferay 7.0 in the new native applications. And Liferay is framework agnostic, so developers can use any preferred JavaScript libraries.